Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake, this is Nadia. Today we are talking about a movie that is supposedly the return of Marvel.
Supposedly.
So that's what they say, so let's be the judge of that, right?
Yeah.
We saw this movie separately. Oh, it's Thunderbolts, by the way.
Yeah.
With an asterisk.
With an asterisk.
Because that's important, yeah. So we saw this separately at separate showtimes alone because that's being parents.
How we roll.
So what did you think of this film? I'm genuinely curious.
I liked it.
Okay.
I would say it was like, I would rate it 7 out of 10. I don't have the history that you do because when I was very early postpartum, you saw Captain America: The Brave New World, I believe.
I did, yeah.
And
can you really see that film? It's more of an experience.
Well, I definitely watched a review, and I felt like I saw the review. And so it was interesting. I don't know if this movie kind of compares to that. I did watch Deadpool before, and that was supposed to be like a Marvel Jesus, as people were calling it, because it was supposed to be a Marvel comeback. That seems very separate to this film in itself. But I thought, like, I liked it. I enjoyed this film. I thought it was cheesy in the ending, but I happen to like cheesiness. So, it was something deep, and I laughed a lot in the beginning and in the middle, and I didn't expect to laugh, actually. So I get criticized for this a lot, but sometimes I just like to, I didn't have a high expectation of this film. So I would say in that sense, it exceeded my expectation.
Okay.
But I rated it 7 instead of a little bit higher because I thought the very, very end, I think it could have been like maybe 15 to 20 minutes shorter. Okay. I thought it kind of dragged on at the end a little bit, but that could have just been me, a breastfeeding mom, needing to get home to breastfeed. But overall, I think it was really good. It was kind of like Suicide Squad, except without everyone being a villain, because obviously, as you've seen the trailer, this is non-spoiler, the Winter Soldier is there, and then there are other people who are part of it as well.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into spoilers later in the video.
Yeah,
we'll let you guys know.
It was kind of like it had that wit and humor that early Marvel films did, so I thought it was all cool.
Okay.
What did you think?
I hated it. No, I actually liked it quite a bit.
What? I really thought you were gonna say you hated it.
I enjoyed this film.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. I had a fun time.
That's news to me.
I know. There's still light in my heart. Think that maybe my experience with some recent Marvel movies, which have been up and down, varying in quality from medium to bad. Captain America: Brave New World, recently experienced that, and that didn't really feel like a movie. This felt like a movie. It felt like a Marvel movie. It had like the quippy jokes, it had the fun team up moments, characters that we've kind of seen before, but getting them to see them in new interactions was kind of fun. I mean, it just felt like the average Marvel movie you'd get from phase 1 or 2, but now, because of the quality level of recent Marvel movies, it feels like, whoa, this is a great Marvel movie. It's fantastic. But there have been some good Marvel movies, recently. I think I would put this on the level of like Guardians 3, which is a movie I liked a bit. I mean, this movie has the flaws. It's like cheesy, like it feels made for kids, and kind of like one of the biggest things that I found a little annoying was the treating mental health issues is kind of like, it was like a therapy movie in a way, and that always just gets on my nerves a little bit because it just feels kind of like we're explaining depression to kids, But not that that's a bad thing to do. I just mean like it felt very simplified in a way that only that has to happen in a Marvel movie. Anyways, we'll get into those like themes and stuff later. But overall, I just had like a fun time. I liked the actors. I liked Florence Pugh, who really carries this movie. I didn't see her in Black Widow, so this is like my first time, I guess, seeing her in the MCU, and I thought she was fun. David Harbour, who plays her dad, highlight for me. He was really funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was good chemistry there in the cast, and I guess if I were to put it this way, the show Captain America and the Winter Soldier that we watched that came out a while ago, but I feel like it spawned 2 movies that are kind of like indirect sequels to that show, which the show I thought was overall pretty good. But I feel like the first spawn of that show was Captain America: Brave New World, which was horrible and took all the wrong lessons from that movie, in my opinion. And this movie took the good lessons from that TV show. It felt like something you'd watch more on Disney Plus. And I know usually that'd sound like a bad thing if I was like, this felt like like a streaming show. But the streaming stuff has been a little better than the movies recently. I like the camaraderie. I like the dynamics between the characters. I liked Wyatt Russell, who's Kurt Russell's son. And, this is, I just like that he acts a little bit like his dad, because I love Kurt Russell. Yeah. So it's like, hey, Kurt Russell. And he kind of gives off a Kurt Russell, like cranky vibes. I don't know, like Big Trouble in Little China. He has a beard, so he looks more like him. And I was just like, yeah, kind of channeling the mannerisms a little more. That was just fun for me because that was kind of the vibe of like, we're like a bunch of assholes teaming up. I'm surprised I enjoyed it. I feel like it didn't overstay its welcome too much. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I adore because of Veep. So it was just fun seeing her basically do Selena Meyer, but in Marvel. Is it amazing? No, it's pretty fun. There were a couple moments where I laughed. I was like, that's all I really want from these Marvel movies. And I felt like it ended with me going like, I'm excited to see where Marvel is heading. I'm excited how this ties into new things. And I've started to realize like a lot of recent Marvel movies will have endings and teasers that lead into who knows what, like a totally new thing. Whereas this felt like, okay, I have a better idea of where we're going in the wider universe, and I'm excited. I'm excited for Fantastic Four. I'm excited for the new Avengers movies. So, yeah, you could have a worse time at the movies.
It wasn't like Guardian of the Galaxy, the last one, good. Would you rate it the similar tier, or what would you think in sort of comparison to this and that one?
I feel like I like this maybe a little more than Guardians 3.
No way!
Because Guardians 3 had all of the like animal abuse plot, which is, it was done very well. Yeah. But it was just like too tough for me to do. Like it was like so dark that it kind of outweighed the rest of the movie. And I feel like tonally there was a bit of an imbalance, which it was okay for that movie. But I was also kind of like, whatever. I like Guardians 2 a lot. I think Guardians 2 is the best of that trilogy, but this I just liked a little more because it was more fun. Like Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan, when he shows up in this movie, it's like, that's a movie star. I was like, he is so charismatic and fun to watch on screen. I never thought that watching him as Winter Soldier in any of these
he's taking
shows.
A lead role. I mean, not lead
really.
Role. He's an ensemble.
I feel like he has more gravitas because of his, Academy Award nomination. And, I feel like he's carving out in the industry a different path for himself that's kind of separate from Marvel, and maybe that gives him more, I don't know, screen credit or street cred, screen cred. So there's obviously like the awkward, clunky pacing in certain moments. Some of the quips got a little heavy-handed of everyone just being like, did that just happen? What did he say? Commenting on the stuff that's happening. But I thought the third act got very serious in a way that I thought was like, yeah, let's do this. Let's be serious about it. But again, the therapy talk, the heavy-handedness of the themes, it was just like, all right, we're explaining therapy and depression to kids, like it's very simplified. And that's okay because that's what this movie, it's a Marvel movie. But it was also like, all right, I've seen this a million times in like, it's actually about trauma, that kind of thing. But it could have been worse. And I thought that the filmmaking was good. The creative team, I guess, behind this movie was behind Beef as well. At least the director of this did Beef. I love Beef. I know you like Beef. Not actual Beef, but the show Beef. Anyways, any other thoughts before we get into spoilers?
I'm appalled about the whole, you think this movie is a higher rating than Guardians of the Galaxy the last.
I don't know if it's better. I just like it more.
I mean,
I'd rather rewatch this than Guardians 3. I don't think I could sit through Guardians 3
If we get divorced, this is the beginning.
Oh, come on. Really? You're pulling up divorce on Guardians 3?
Divorce.
Let's do spoilers.
1, 2, 3.
It's actually 3, 2, 1 spoilers.
3, 2, 1 spoilers.
Yeah, so there's a guy called Sentry who's Bob. I like that section where Sebastian Stan shows up on a motorcycle, and it was just like, I got like Terminator 2 vibes from him. It was just really fun, like, oh yeah, that's a movie star. And then he takes all of the Thunderbolts hostage to use as evidence for the impeaching of that lady Valentina, or whatever her name is. I like when they're all like trying to explain who Bob is, and they're like, it's Bob. I was just like, this is fun. This is like interesting. I didn't know what Bob was going to be. I didn't know he was going to be this like evil Superman character who has like this dark side. side. I don't. There's a lot to get into. I don't know. What was stuff that stuck out to you, spoiler wise?
Well, I thought it was really interesting, like at the end, how how Bob was separated from his like dark persona, and it was really the dark. I thought it was really funny how like the congresswoman is able to convince the nice Bob to be dark Bob, and when he like has his blonde hair and legit becomes like a separate person from the nice Bob that we see in the beginning. And
it's scary.
Yeah, and at the end he loses his memory again about the Dark Bob, and it's like, okay, what do we do if the Dark Bob comes back? It's like, I guess we'll just have to be friends. So it's like, it's just interesting. A cure for like a way to defeat a villain is hugs, and it reminds me of
course. I mean, that's the thing that kind of annoyed
that
me,
book, Something Wickedly.
Something Wicked This Way Comes. Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, because I don't want to give the spoiler for the end of that book in case you haven't seen it, but it just reminds me of the ending. And then so that's what I meant in the non-spoiler section when I said it's cheesy, but I also liked it because there was something touching about it being like real about depression. I feel like it was trying to say about mental health, mental illness as well, just kind of like getting out of the depressive episode and spiraling and just feeling alone, and then having like people hug you and be like, you're not alone, you're good, and it's kind of like getting you to see the good in you that you've given up on. You're like, you know what, nothing is good. And I think that's a very relatable universal theme and topic that I really love that they explored in this film. And I was surprised that they did that.
I think that it worked. They did it fine, but I also just, my cynical ass was like, okay, here we go again with this. It's almost so overdone at this point in media. I feel like for the past, I don't know, maybe decade, it's become like a trope now of like visualizing the metaphor or creating a big metaphor about depression and how we need our friends to support us and everything. Like when they go into that stuff, like the shadow realm or whatever, where Bob takes them, where they see all their dark history and past, and then he's literally beating up the depressed version of himself.
Self-hatred.
And of course she's like, no, that's how he wins, and it's like a very on the nose visualization, representation of self-hatred and depression and how that works. And it's like, I don't think it's very original at this point. Not saying it has to be original, but it just didn't feel very fresh or exciting. It was just kind of like, all right, we get it.
It's really hard.
But I think the actors sold it. I think Florence Pugh did really good. That conversation she had with David Harbour on the street was great. I really liked the guy who played Bob. So I thought that the performances brought it out. And I also felt like the directing and cinematography in that whole sequence was really cool. It was very Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind vibes, or Being John Malkovich or something like that.
I don't think it's funny because, it's like when you were saying like it's not original, like what Marvel ending is original? Like, do we watch it? It's like superhero
Quantum Mania.
I guess in some ways, but it's just, I don't think it's overplayed. I think it's just more represents of like a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of people are talking about depression, and I think there's been more mental health awareness in the last decade than there had been before that. So it makes sense that we're talking about it more. It's being more represented in the media. That doesn't mean it's being outdone or overly done. Like, I just think that it's finally being talked about, so we're more noticing it, As far as like being on the nose, like I don't know how else the manifestation of depression or self-hatred would be, I mean, I thought it was a great visualization of kind of like the mental obstacles of just self-hatred.
It was fine. So. Yeah, they did like the standard, good job with it. I think it didn't wow me. It was kind of like, okay, we're doing this type of thing.
I almost cried.
I mean, it's emotional.
It was so sad.
I felt emotions when Florence Pugh was talking to her dad, like they're relatable feelings because it's, it's good. And I thought that it's always nice to see it done well. And I thought it was done well enough. Anyways,
would you rate this film?
Oh, I would give it like a 6 or 7.
That is, okay. You made it sound like you liked it better than me.
I liked it a lot.
Equally as much or a little less if you're 6.
Yeah.
Let me on.
What are you talking?
Let me on.
I'm not giving this a 10 out of 10.
You said you really liked it.
Not Sinners.
Well, you should have rated it earlier.
Well, I'm talking about I'm comparing it to other Marvel films.
That's an average rating. That's
Here's the thing. I actually feel excited about, because I think Marvel and I think the MCU and Kevin Feige too, I think they do their best work when their back is against the wall. I think that I think that when they started, they were the underdogs with Iron Man and building a cinematic universe. Everyone thought they couldn't do it. They were failing and trying to struggle and figure out how to do it while they were going. And now they're on their back foot because they've had a string of movies that underperformed.
Well, it's just Marvel burnout.
The perception is Marvel burnout, and it's been a while now. It's been a couple years of being like Marvel isn't cool anymore. Now they have an opportunity to do the coolest thing possible, which is return with a vengeance and have this new energy. I like how the movie ends with the reveal that they're the new Avengers, you know? That's the asterisk. Like, they're actually the new Avengers, or at least the ones modeled by Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, who was like, these are the new Avengers, and they kind of like...
Oh my God, I love that part.
I love it. Yeah. Because it's like, we're doing something. Like, we're talking about the Avengers again. We have the Avengers Tower. It's like, and I think it works well because it seems to reflect the state of the wider MCU. We don't know who the Avengers are. We don't know what's going on. The heroes aren't around anymore. So now it gives us the opportunity to be like the return of all these great characters that we love, or in the introduction. You know, I'm genuinely excited for Fantastic Four. I feel like if they just do The Incredibles again, I feel like that'd just be a good movie, you know? I like the aesthetic they're going for. So I'm optimistic about what they're doing, which is rare for me. Yeah, if they just keep this level, if they can continue with stuff like the Thunderbolts for the next few movies, people will be like, oh my God, the Marvel is back, and everyone will love it.
I think so too. I mean, it's interesting, the point that you made about, like, you know, they got the Avengers tower back, and that's, I thought, like, okay, yep, who owned it before? Iron Man, you know, who was like basically revamped this whole Marvel thing up a while ago. And then now I feel like it's being revamped again with these superheroes, you know. It's interesting because I thought there was going to be a little bit more of the multi-universe exploration, and it kind of seems like they're going and backing away from that now.
I don't know, because the end scene was the Fantastic Four showing up from outer space.
That's you know? True.
I feel like we're moving into a huge multiverse situation, and I'm actually excited because I had that moment in my head where I'm like, you know, I enjoy these characters, and I think it'll be fun, and I'll be rooting for them when they show up in Avengers Doomsday or in the other one they're doing, you know. I was like, yeah, I could see them interacting with Spider-Man and that being cool, you know. And when Sam Wilson shows up, you know, like, because that's what we love about these crossover event movies. The reason why, at least for me, I sit through some of these really bad Marvel movies is because I go, yeah, like, maybe I didn't love the Marvels, but it'll be kind of fun to see those characters show up in this other movie. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's, at least they have that going for them, and that's something to lean into.
I would love to rewatch all of these films in sequence in like 15 years.
In 15 years, there's going to be 100 of these movies. Seriously, there's already what? This is the 36th, I think?
Well, it's just going to be really interesting with our son, you know, to watch it in sequence.
He can do that with you.
Retrospectively.
That can be a mom activity.
You know, that these things are better or worse. And kind of like we do with, you know, Star Wars.
He can watch all the Marvel movies with you in order, and I'll watch the Ingmar Bergman box set with him.
I mean, I think like still nothing tops Marvel film. I really love the last Guardian of the Galaxy film, but I also
forgot about it until I brought it up.
Yes, but I am still postpartum, so I'm allowed to forget. But when you said it, I was like, oh my God, yeah. And then, you know, like the more I think about that film, the more it, you know, calls my name. So
is it weird? I feel like one of my favorite post-Endgame Marvel movies is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I really like that too.
Everyone hated it, I think, because it had nothing to do with like the universe and was kind of.
It was also very different.
I liked it because it had the Sam Raimi element. It had like the weird horror stuff and I don't know. I thought that was fun, but it feels like we're finally moving on to a new era. Captain America: Brave New World was so bad. I mean, what a weird like diversity of quality there.
So is it fun to say that you were having a good time,
I was. I wish I had been in the same theater with you, sitting next to you, because I feel like
I was spiritually there, right?
You were spiritually there.
Right?
Always. Anyways, do we have any other thoughts about this film?
Well, this is going to be Saturday when this review comes out, so TGIS.
Have a great Saturday, everyone. Thank you for watching, and if you you saw Thunderbolts. What did you think?
Let us know.
How do you feel about the state of the MCU? Let us know. We love to read your unhinged, sometimes comments.
Always.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.